Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Fat Jocks, the sports podcast that almost keeps you up to date on sports news. Got a great episode this week. Before we get into any of that, you know what to do. Go over to YouTube, subscribe, like the videos, check out the clips, subscribe on Apple Podcasts. The real important thing is to leave a 5-star review, write a few sentences about what you like about the show. You know, say the stuff. Brian has a good voice. Bruce is good looking. That's what you should be saying on there. If you have any questions, send them over to FatJocksPod@gmail.com. Make it short and sweet. Enough of these fucking essays you write in, all right? I'm done with it. I'm not reading them on the show if they're more than 10 sentences. Get fucked. Other than that, we got a great show today. My pal Brian Vokey right here with the rundown. What do we got?
Today, we reminisce about my party days in college with Larry Bird and Jamal Khashoggi, 1979, Indiana State. Don't know what happened to those fellas. We also talk about NFL free agency. J.J. Watt, where's he going? The quarterbacks that are available this year is unreal. Then we get into, of course, a baseball-heavy episode. We talk about who belongs in the Hall of Fame, who doesn't. Bruce pitches out a theory that maybe Babe Ruth is an asterisk Hall of Famer. His words, not mine. Then he besmirches David Ortiz like a schmuck. And don't worry, fans, I stand up for Big Papi. All that stuff and a whole lot more. So I hope you guys enjoy, like and subscribe, and we love you.
Personal foul, 69, offense. He was giving them the business. This fat son of a bitch. He's fat. Hey, I'm just here so I don't get fined. He's fat.
Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
He's fat.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Kiss you. I couldn't care less about the team struggling.
You're like the old man in the Sandlot, the blind guy who's like, ball came right at my eyes, took my lights out. You're like, I went into the trash can, got bit by a damn dog.
Yeah.
When you were writing rails, I was thinking about this the other day. It's funny, whenever you were doing like railroad stuff, I imagine that everybody out there was like, yeah, man, we're fucking sick, dude. Like we do cool shit, but you probably just thought you were Roger Miller. Like you thought you're just on the rail. You're just like, trailer for sale or rent.
That's so funny because I used to play that all the time for my students on the acoustic guitar, and then we would all sing it together.
I love that song, dude.
Oh,
that
that's
song
one of the best.
Rocks.
Dude, I bet he was a wild man. Like, I know he wrote the Robin Hood soundtrack. I know he wrote a lot of
stuff. See, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, that whole Robin Hood Disney cartoon. You got the movie.
Roger Miller.
Yeah, it's all right. You got to go watch it again. It's like just for the music. It's unbelievable. It's the only, I think it's the only Disney movie I like.
Yeah. See, I like Tarzan because it's Phil Collins, dude. Phil Collins kicks ass.
Yeah, see, the 90s stuff was brutal. Like the Billy Joel doing River. What was River Dreams in?
Oh, I don't know.
Is Space Jam?
Well, I mean, yeah, but I don't know if that's it. No, but Space Jam kicks ass.
No, it's Warner Brothers.
Everybody get up. Oh yeah, it is Warner brother. All right, let's get it rocking. Dude. What, the Warner Brother shirt?
Yeah, the WB. If you see a cop, Warner Brother. Is that
did me and you talk about this? Is that in your mind, is that like a top 3, top 5 novelty t-shirt?
It's up there, man. My favorite one, I had one that said LAPD, we treat you like a king. That was a good one.
Yeah. I mean, the Warner Brother and the I'm not gay, but $20 is $20 are like,
I mean, that's up there.
Those are like the two major players in this whole thing. You know, that's like your LeBron and your Michael Jordan, where I'm trying to think what the Kobe Bryant one would be.
Just depends on when you grew up.
Yeah, it's probably the one where it's the t-shirt, but it's like the woman in the bikini with the huge tits, or like the fat hairy guy.
No, Kobe is the federal booty inspector.
Oh yeah. I know, female body inspector.
Female body.
One. Yeah, you're right. Those are probably top 3. Federal booty inspector. You have a badge.
Man, I'm gonna have to inspect that booty.
Dude, did I ever show you the picture from the college library, the computer lab? I have it on my phone. I got to send it to you. Of a dude sitting at one of the computers in the computer lab, and the back of his shirt says, "It ain't gonna suck itself." in like a college library.
Oh yeah, that
man.
reminds me. Of course, I come fast. I got fish to catch. Is top 5.
Oh yes. Of course,
that's Larry Bird.
Yeah, that's a dude. Did you this? Well, actually, we'll just get the podcast. We'll just keep it rolling here. But there was a thing from I was watching a video from Larry Bird's Hall of Fame induction speech, where it was like somebody else talking about him. Where I think it was like on his Hall of Fame night. I can't remember who it was that was talking about him. It was an older black dude, and he was, maybe you've seen this, but he's like, the first time I ever heard Larry Bird's name, I was listening to it was either a college game or a Celtics game on the radio. And he's like, I just kept hearing it, like, Bird, there goes Bird for 3. Bird dishes out to him. Bird does this. Bird does that. And I went, man, this brother can play. He's like, the first time I saw Larry Bird, I was like, what?
Damn, how does she get into the NBA?
Awesome. Okay, wait. Welcome to Fat Jocks, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the banter up top. That was just a little bit of a sound check, a little bit of warm up. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to the show. Happy you guys are listening. Happy you guys are here. Mr. Brian Vokey, how you feeling? Got a haircut, looking good?
Yeah, dude, I'm feeling good. We were just talking about Larry Bird, and I don't mean to mix my podcast here, but did you know that at the same time that Larry Bird was at Indiana State, which, by the way, nicknamed the Sycamores, maybe one of the worst nicknames in all of sports.
Yeah, it's pretty lame.
Was Jamal Khashoggi, the Saudi reporter who got put through the bone saw in Turkey?
Yeah.
They were both at Indiana State at the same time, 1970.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn, dude. That was imagine partying with those two dudes, man.
You got Jamal Khashoggi and Larry Bird, dude. That would be epic. Neither of them drank.
Epic Rager. Yeah, Epic Rager all night long. It was me, Jamal Khashoggi, Larry Bird. Dude, it was wild, man. So many chicks, so many
many.
Hey, welcome to the So Many Chicks. We had a great night, dude. Freaking keg stands.
Everybody knows Indiana State has the hottest chicks.
Yeah, the Sycamores, dude. And I was sicking some more, pal. Welcome to the podcast, everyone. A lot of stuff we got to talk about this week. JJ Watt has been released by the Houston Texans. That's pretty crazy.
Do you think the Jays are the same name twice? Do you think his name is JJ Watt?
JoJo Watt? No, I don't know what his name is. I think it's Jimmy John's Watt.
Jimmy John Watt, get your ass down here.
Dude, I actually listened to the CEO, the founder of Jimmy John's on a podcast, and he kicks ass. He literally opened a sandwich shop because it was cheap. And he was like 19. His dad gave him 10 grand and he opened a sandwich shop because it cost like $900 for all the equipment.
Justin James Watt.
Yeah, that's pretty simple. Yeah, I mean, what's up with that? He just asked to be obviously, we were talking about this a few months ago, or maybe a few weeks ago, about his where you said white NFL fans' wet dream of JJ Watt.
His blue collar rant.
Yeah, his blue collar rant, and we were like, and we were kind of almost like a pipe dream. We're like, could JJ Watt leave the Texans? That's crazy.
Dude, every time JJ Watt goes on a rant, I expect to hear Bruce Springsteen go 2, 3, 4 at the end. Yeah, it's always it's definitely a rant made for blue jeans. But he apparently the whole operation, from what I've been hearing, is just a mess in Houston.
Apparently, it's just crumbling.
Yeah. And it's looking like they're gonna force Deshaun to stay. Who knows?
Dude, I don't understand. Why didn't they try to trade JJ Watt? That's insane to me.
Yeah, I think that I if I had to guess, I know the business doesn't work this way. This might be idealized, but maybe it was out of respect. Or it's like
that's what I think. Their whole releasing thing was out of respect, where he just asked for it and they said yes. And then Deshaun Watson's like, "What about me?" And they're like, "You stay right there. You sit."
To be fair, though, JJ Watt is a little bit more on the Carson Wentz side of things. I think the where
contract thing.
Yeah. He's not worth what he's getting paid right now because he's
getting paid something like $18.5 million a year. Maybe I'm thinking of Chris Bryant, but JJ Watt's up there.
Yeah, he's up there. At one point he was the highest paid defensive player in the league. So, and he's not playing like the highest paid, he's not even the best Watt in the league.
No.
So I mean,
people could say that his wattage is running low. He's not giving a lot of power. Did I lose you? Wait, you froze. Wait, hold on. I got to fix your internet connection. I don't know if you heard my joke. No, I mean, but that's kind of why I don't know why they didn't trade him. I don't know why they didn't try to get something for him. But also, what does this mean for Deshaun Watson? Are they going full rebuild here? Or are they going to make Deshaun Watson stay there?
They're going rebuild in a way that, like, dude, this rebuild is like the same way they had to rebuild after fucking Jerry Sandusky, like where they have to redo the entire every level of it, from coaching staff to management to GM. Like, I mean, I think they're gutting that whole fucking operation, which I was thinking about. That was like this new guy they hired to coach. I can't remember who it was. I remember everybody was mad because it was another white guy. And it was like, they were talking about a lot about how like there's just no black coaches getting but I mean, listen, that job that's a sacrificial job. Whoever's getting hired for that job is just going there to get slaughtered. Like,
I mean, if they hired a black dude for that job, people would just be like, "Oh, really? You make a black guy clean it?" You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want that job.
Run into a burning building? No,
dude, like literally. Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, no, fuck that. Like, I don't know who's psychotic enough to do that, but I guess somebody always runs for president too. You're like, who the hell are these people? Why would you want this fucking job? But I imagine everybody's
Tulsi Gabbard to coach the fucking Texans.
Yeah, dude. She's beautiful.
She really is.
Yeah.
That's why I voted for her 6 different times. What does this mean for Deshaun Watson though? Is he's just going to stay, or are they just going to gut him? Because they imagine 2 years ago or whatever, how long ago they gave up DeAndre Hopkins. Imagine if somebody came to you and said, "Hey, the Texans are going to give up DeAndre Hopkins and JJ Watt for nothing."
I mean, you would probably say, okay, something terrible happened behind the scenes. You know, like, I don't know what's going on in that operation, but it seems like everybody wants out of that building. And it seems like the management is like, yeah, fair enough. You should get out of here. But could you imagine the people? Yeah, they had, you said Tyrann Mathieu, DeAndre Hopkins. They could have, JJ Watt, Deshaun Watson. I mean, they had a lot of fucking talent, and they had it going on. That was good.
They had it going on. They really did have it going on for a little bit. Right now, it just seems like the locker room seems like the halftime of the Bourbon Bowl before Bobby Boucher shows up, and the coach just has his hat and he's like, "Does anybody have any ideas?" The Henry Winkler coach.
I feel like you bring up the water boy as an analogy.
I have twice. As I was saying that, I realized that I have like twice in the last 3 weeks. But it's a good analogy.
You can tell what you and I have been watching recently, because remember when I was watching The Sopranos and I compared everything to The Sopranos for a while? Right now,
you said that my pants looked like AJ Soprano last week.
Oh yeah, well, you just straight up did look like AJ Soprano last week. But
hey, no bullshit. I don't want to break the curtain here, but I'm wearing the same pants right now.
Break the curtain?
Break the fourth wall. I don't want to. I'm wearing.
You got
long story short, I'm wearing
and break the fourth wall mixed up.
There you go. Yeah. Long story short, I'm wearing the pants. You think they're going to franchise Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, I think Deshaun Watson's going to get. Who was the quarterback who kept getting franchised every year? And it was like
Dak Prescott.
Was it Dak? Wasn't there another one before?
Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah. But Dak Prescott was, I think, who I was thinking of. They still don't even know what the hell's going to happen with him. Russell Wilson wants out. Like,
is it that Russell Wilson wants out? Because I keep hearing conflicting things every time I look into it.
Apparently, everybody's saying you don't come out against the organization the way he did unless you're trying to get away.
What did Russell Wilson do?
Essentially, he just said, "Look, I'm getting sacked more than anybody else," which is true. Since he came to the league,
I saw that. Yeah.
And he's a mobile dude. It's not like, and he's an elite quarterback, because usually guys who are getting sacked a lot suck, or they're like the Ben Roethlisberger from back in the day where they're so big that they just hold on to the ball because they don't give a shit about getting hit. But he came out and said, like, you've got to give me an offensive line. This is too much. And a lot of people said that he was driving a wedge to get out, which potentially means that the theoretical quarterback market right now could be Deshaun Watson, Sam Darnold, the Raiders guy, Carr,
Derek Carr,
Russell Wilson, potentially
Rodgers.
No, shut up. Marcus Mariota.
Marcus Mariota that's a crazy poll. I haven't heard about Marcus Mariota in quite some time.
Well, what happened was they had an amazing game against the one where who was the quarterback who got face masked and threw that? It was Fitzpatrick. It was the Dolphins versus the Raiders, I believe. And Mariota came in for an injured Carr and just looked like just a monster. He looked like it was like one of those Taylor Heineke things where it's like it was a contract worthy second half performance.
Yeah. Also, shouts out Taylor Heineke on that contract. 2 years,
8.5 mil, dude.
bucks.
You play for 60 minutes. You give it all for 60 minutes and you make 8.5 mil. How dope is that?
He put his nuts on the table and fucking lowered his shoulder to the tune of $8 million. That kicks ass.
Yeah, playing for a team that doesn't even have a name. Oh, rules.
Yeah. The team formerly known as the Washington Redskins. Dude, it's kind of, I mean, you know me, I love off-season drama, dude. So I'm excited to see how all this shit plays out.
Potentially a lot of big shakeups.
It's gonna be interesting, dude. Adam Schefter's dick has got to be hard as a rock.
Everybody's saying that JJ Watt is gonna go to Green Bay because he's a Wisconsin guy, and Green Bay doesn't have a good.
Is everybody saying that, or is that like a Trump thing where you're kind of trying to wish it into reality? But people are talking. People come up to me on the street every day and they say JJ Watt's going to.
No, because I'm not that hyped on Watt. That's just what I'm hearing. I'm hearing from, our rivals. Like, I don't want to give Colin Cowherd a shout out because we're neck and neck in the ratings, but Cowherd was saying that Watt wanted to go to Wisconsin, to Green Bay, back home, because he still lives there in the offseason. ESPN did a top 5 teams that are best for him, and they made Green Bay number 1. A lot of people, he's a white guy with a crew cut. I mean, how does that not fit in Wisconsin? And Green Bay.
Yeah, he's from there too. Yeah.
Yeah, but Green Bay's defensive ends are not that great. They got Tyler Lancaster, Dean Lowry, and Kiki Kingsley or whatever. But yeah, they don't have a really good edge rusher. But I don't know if JJ Watt really improves it that much. And it's like, so you're taking on. I mean, they had a lot of luck with Julius Peppers. They had a lot of luck. Obviously, Reggie White changed the franchise. But so they've done this before, where they bring in a kind of seemingly faded defensive star, and then Charles Woodson was another one.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Do you think that if he goes to a place like Green Bay or even any kind of contender, it kind of reinvigorates him to, make him feel more?
But that's the difference between Charles Woodson, Reggie White, Julius Peppers versus JJ Watt is those guys aren't injury prone. JJ Watt, he breaks like a vase, dude. He's like, he just gets hurt all the time, and he's covered in more armor than any player in the league. He looks like
he has a lot of dude. Yeah, he literally. I was gonna say that because I was looking at pictures of him earlier. Yeah, he has like double Stone Cold Steve Austin knee braces.
Yeah. Plus, he looks like when I create a player on Madden and I put all the shit on him. I put like the visor, the huge armbands, the knee bands,
the butterfly neck thing on your quarterback.
99 speed, and you're like, nobody's ever worn that much equipment and can outrun Tyreek Hill. That's insane.
Yeah, he's just barreling down the fucking thing the entire time. Yeah, dude, I mean, if you're him, not speaking from Homer Brian Vokey perspective, where do you go? Do you go to Green Bay? Do you go to the Rams? Do you go to?
Not being a homer about this, I'm not that hyped on him.
Yeah, I would go to the where do you go? You go to the Bucks. You go to something because you want to win now.
You go to Tampa Bay, dog. If you're JJ Watt, you don't go anywhere else but Tampa Bay
because of the contender aspect of it.
Yes, you chase a ring. You go where it's nice and warm. It's only just around the bay. He lives around the Gulf. He lives in Houston, Tampa Bay. I mean, that's the same body of water. He just does a little hook shot, goes right out the other side. Huh?
You think he takes a boat to move all this stuff?
He would, wouldn't he?
He'd do it like a boat all the way over
he
there.
Would just like row on a truck tire over there.
Dude, we got to do a deep dive soon. Now that I just, I thought of this, we got to do a deep dive on Yasiel Puig. You ever read deep into like the Yasiel Puig coming over here story?
I did. We had a hideout in Mexico. Yeah. I've read about that.
Yeah,
ESPN
it's wild, man.
Great article on it.
Yeah, I'll put that together for next week. Actually, what's crazy is how big of Houston sports is big time declining. Some people were talking about this. Harding, Westbrook won it out. They're gone. George Springer wanted out. He's gone. JJ Watt and Watson both wanted out. DeAndre Hopkins. Houston is just flushing the toilet on all these guys.
Yeah, I got to say, I felt bad for DeAndre Hopkins because the list that I've been seeing were Harden, Westbrook, Springer, now Watson. It's like Springer is not nearly as good of a ball player as DeAndre Hopkins is.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins he was still one of the leading receivers in the NFL, and he had a child throwing it. I mean, Kyler Murray is 5'2", and somehow he was still able to be number one.
Yeah, Kyler Murray and Wee Man standing next to each other is real.
Dude, Kyler Murray declined. Like, they figured his ass out.
That happens, dude. Any mobile quarterback that's not completely explosive gets figured out. Like, everybody but Mike Vick has gotten figured out.
I mean, Lamar Jackson has not gotten figured out in a sense that, I mean, even in the playoffs, he was a monster. Like, he's just
but I think that Lamar Jackson is as explosive as Vick.
Also, Lamar Jackson was raised different. He was a pocket quarterback. His all the way, even in Louisville, he was his instincts are pocket.
Yeah.
Hey, have you ever watched the Knife Show on A&E where they make swords and like, you, sir, your sword could kill, and they slice pigs in half?
No, but I know what I don't know that, but I remember me and you have watched some knife competitions where they like cut the rope, then they cut the tennis balls. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think our sports podcast should get into the knife area, because not a lot of sports podcasts are covering this.
Oh, like knife competitions? Yeah.
Like axe throwing. Maybe the lumberjack shit that was on at like 3 a.m. on ESPN?
Dude, you know what was sick is that lumberjack, that outdoorsman shit was on every year on my birthday. That was on.
Yeah,
and so I was like stoked.
So we could be like the live. Remember how Opie and Anthony were the XFL guys? Like,
yes,
if we could get into that lumberjack world.
That outdoorsman competition.
Yeah, it would take 2 hours to get the amount of information we need. We just need to learn how to say Swedish names, and then we're good to go, dude.
Yeah, I loved that shit where they do that the log spinning thing where they run on the log while above the water, and then the best one is where they climb up the pole, they cut it, they put the thing in, they stand on that, and
they put a hatchet in it. They stand on the hatchet, and the hatchet's bouncing like a diving board. And then they cut it down as they go. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's more interesting than, the NBA is this year.
Yeah, no, 100%. What's up with this Chris Doyle guy, dude? So Chris Doyle, Jacksonville hired Chris Doyle, who was fired after 20 years at Iowa or Iowa State after being accused of racism. Kind of broad.
Him just after getting accused of. So, by the way, the whole Iowa program was accused, but he was the only one to get fired. So that says either two things. It says either he was a sacrificial lamb or he was the worst one of the bunch. He was the highest paid strength.
There was a settlement. There was a settlement that the players or somebody got, which means basically he did whatever they're saying.
He got $1 million to leave.
Oh, okay.
He was the highest paid strength. He was getting $800,000 a year as a strength and conditioning coach. He got the whole program was under fire, saying they were treating the black players differently, and there was accused of like a lot of racial slurs, a lot of like making black kids run laps that white kids didn't have to run and shit.
Damn.
And then he gets fired.
So what, they were mean to everybody but the quarterback and the slot receiver?
Iowa? No, the whole offensive line, probably the linebacking core.
Yeah. I didn't think about Iowa. I was just thinking about most football teams.
Yeah, no, you got to think about Iowa.
Yeah, that's a big part of this. Dude, imagine you're so racist that your job gives you $1 million to quit. Like, holy shit. And then Urban Meyer hired him, and then he resigned
all the way from Iowa to Jacksonville, like in fucking Billy Madison, like Doyle rules. Rules.
But he's blasting that unreleased David Allan Coe album.
Yeah, exactly. I like.
Yeah, so dude, he
says it.
yeah, it's satire if you understand it. So what does this say about Urban Meyer? Is this like classic Florida Urban Meyer that 40 of my student athletes got arrested for all kinds of shit over however many years he was there?
Yeah,
remember that shit at Ohio State where that guy that he hired had like beat up his wife or like slammed his wife through a Hell in a Cell or something like that a couple years before that, and he knew about it. And that guy, I went through today and I was looking at that guy's like evaluations, and that guy sucked at everything except for tombstoning his wife.
Yeah, and then they had like players who were like, what was that guy, Maurice Clemens or whatever? He was like going to be a #1 draft pick, but he just couldn't stop getting arrested. And Urban Meyer kept throwing him back in. He's a running back. I don't
remember his name off the top of my head.
I think he's like a motivator. He turned his life around. He's like a motivational speaker now.
He was okay. So I was reading a little bit about him today. He was a guy from Utah.
No, Ohio State.
He played at Utah. I think that it was a guy who played at Utah, and then Urban Meyer brought him in. I'm not prepped on it at all, though. Obviously not Maurice Claret.
Maurice Clemens.
I'm not familiar. That's crazy, though. I would like to deep dive his ass.
Wait,
that sounds like someone that sounds like I want to have sex with him. Love to deep dive his ass.
Wait. Let me correct myself. I just Googled it. Maurice Clemens was an American murderer who was the shooter of 4 police officers.
Damn, and Urban Meyer kept putting him in the game. It's like, Maurice, I know you messed up. We're going to get out there. We're going to get it done. But it's like, what does this say about Urban Meyer? Is this just bad? Is just a coincidence, or is this like just classic Urban Meyer missteps?
Well, I'll tell you what it says about, he's a man, like a lot of people, the mainstream sports media is accusing him of being like a good old boy and just trying to look out for his, his old redneck friends or whatever. But it's bigger.
I would 100% say that.
No, I would say it's worse than that, because that's bad enough. But he does, like you said, he did it with Aaron Hernandez. He's done it with not whoever we're trying to remember. Like, he's not holding anybody accountable. It's not just his good old friends. It's just nobody around him. As long as you have some kind of results, then you will get put in on the field or in the coaching staff for Urban Meyer. Like, and what it is that he comes from a world where he controls everything. And, but what's confusing to me about this whole thing is that guy, he wasn't even the head strength and conditioning coach. It was like I think czar was in his title. He was like the workout czar or some shit.
Damn, that's pretty tight. That sounds like that dude controls everything.
Yeah.
He controls all working out.
So, but
he's like, only white guys can use the dumbbells. Is that his whole thing? Everyone else pick up that barrel.
Yeah, exactly. But the weird thing is that nobody in the Jacksonville's owned by Shad Khan. He's a Saudi oil man, so he's not.
I fuck with Shad Khan, dude.
But he also is a man who, doesn't understand probably personal consequence or being held accountable for your actions. Urban Meyer doesn't understand it. I mean, they kind of seem like from top down, they didn't. I just don't understand how you don't see fucking scandals coming. Like, it's just like, what's the point? What's worth the
Urban
headache?
Meyer, especially.
Yeah. Like, the guy's been through it enough. Like, why would you do this? Why would you bring this into your, I don't know. He's going to fail. He's not a pro coach. He's going to bomb, and then he's going to retire, and he's never going to coach again. This is going to be
he's going to get a headache or two. And he's just going to bounce, dude.
Dude, it's
king of all things.
You're already coaching
king of
Jackson.
Convenient headaches.
Yeah. Like, this is like when Nick Saban took on the Dolphins. It's like, dude, why would you go to the Dolphins? Like, why not go to a team that has an opening that traditionally wins,
Yeah. And it's Jacksonville. I mean, Jacksonville did get to NFC, AFC championship, whatever they're in, a few years ago with Blake Bortles. And I feel like they have a lot of pieces. They're going to have a lot of pieces, I think, in place, but
there's a long Raiders disease where they draft receivers based on speed and exclusively speed.
Yes. Yeah. They seem like there's a long way to go before they're a successful team, but they have all the opportunity. But I mean, if I was Urban Meyer and I fucked up this many times and didn't realize it, I would also get headaches from time to time.
I don't agree with a celebrity coach. Like, I wouldn't bring in Jim Harbaugh if I was like a pro team. Like, I don't want my coach to be like a star, a Rex Ryan, a Jim Harbaugh, an Urban Meyer,
a John Gruden.
I wouldn't want that either. Yeah. I don't believe in the idea of a celebrity coach unless you earned it from, you were already hired and then you became Bill Belichick. That's fine.
You know what's interesting is I would probably rather John Gruden coach a college team than an NFL team.
Imagine Gruden at USC. He would kill it.
Yeah. Do you remember that? What's that? Oh, dude, you know who kicks ass is Steve Sarkisian. Remember how drunk he would get?
Yeah, he always had pills in his pockets and shit, right?
Yeah, dude. There's a few. We got to deep dive him too because he was fucking twisted at USC, and then he went to Alabama.
Sounds like a fine fella that I have nothing to say anything.
Absolutely, and I agree with that. And everything is legit. Do you see Tom Brady fucking wasted?
I felt like leave the man alone,
dude. That shit rocked. I loved it.
I know, and I don't think he got in too much. I don't know if he got any flack for that, like throwing the trophy or whatever.
I mean, you know who was pissed and just wanted an apology is the dummy whose dad makes the trophy.
He doesn't even make it himself.
No, it was the daughter, and she was like, "We deserve an apology for how he treated the trophy." My theory is that was
Photoshop her getting thrown from boat to boat from time.
My theory is that was a replica trophy.
You don't think it was the real trophy? I mean, it's Tom Brady. He's gonna have the real trophy.
I think it was
more of these.
Yeah, I think after the game, that's the real trophy. But I would say during the parade where they know everyone's going to be fucked up and doing dumb shit, I imagine that there's a replica trophy.
I don't know, but I mean,
it just makes sense.
Do with the Stanley Cup. I mean, that would have been nothing for the Stanley Cup.
Dude, they literally brought the Stanley Cup onto Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura's podcast. They don't give a shit about that thing.
Yeah, dude. I mean, well, everybody gets like a week with it, I believe. Everybody on the team gets a week with it, and it becomes.
Dude, I would just want one long night alone with the Stanley Cup.
Dude, I would bathe in it.
Yeah, I was thinking more go to the bathroom in it because it seems like my ass would fit perfectly on the top of the Stanley Cup.
Right.
But I think that humanized Tom Brady, him being completely fucked up. I think that humanized him more than anything else ever has.
Yeah, Tom Brady's becoming very likable in his old age.
He really is. I mean, dude. Him throwing the trophy from boat to boat when was he throwing it to another player or was he throwing it to fans?
Nobody will ever know.
I hope it was fans because that even makes it better. I would be imagine that. Imagine you're at a thing and Aaron Rodgers is fucking blackout drunk and he throws the Lombardi trophy to you over water.
Yeah, dude. There's no way that'll ever happen. Although, did you see that footage of Aaron Rodgers in the back of the truck with the case of Bud Light?
Oh yeah, that kicked ass.
Yeah, that changed everything for my father. My father was like,
liking Aaron Rodgers to
he is all right
because he rode in the back of the truck.
Yeah, with Bud Light. Because my dad always sees him as like a highfalutin California type. So seeing Aaron Rodgers in the back of the truck with Bud Light kind of, and also he was very relieved that he got engaged to a woman. My dad has always thought.
Your dad thinks he's gay?
Yeah, he thought him and Clay Matthews were gay together.
Jesus Christ. What does your pops drink?
He's big into Yingling these days.
Interesting. Is that since he moved? How long has he lived in wherever he lives?
Like 10, 15, I don't know, a while.
Did that change once he moved there?
No, the only thing he ever was against, he said he wouldn't wash his feet with Miller. Damn.
Is that a taste thing or a political thing?
It's definitely a taste thing. I'm sure they vote the same. I can't imagine Miller campaigning for Bernie Sanders.
Dude, Bernie Sanders is actually out here campaigning for minor league baseball. I didn't think we'd have much time to talk about it, so I didn't dive too deep. But minor league baseball just cut like 40 or 60 or 100 teams, something crazy. They cut a lot of affiliates, and Bernie is out here now campaigning, being like, basically, these guys already don't make shit, and you're taking a lot of opportunity away from people. It's pretty sick.
Is it all like A-ball stuff?
They're just really cutting down on a lot of shit. It's just, they didn't have a minor league season last year.
Well, it's interesting because it makes sense to me that they would cut minor league baseball down, because it wasn't until I started talking to you about baseball that I realized how fucking deep the minor league system, like the rookie ball,
it's deep, dude. It is deep, and people get lost in that shit just forever, dude. And it's like, I mean, I know because I work directly in minor league baseball. There's a good Instagram account called Minor League Grinders, and it just kind of shows how shitty it is to play in the minor league. Yeah. Yeah. Minor league grinder, not grinder for minors. That's also another thing.
Which is an
That's
app
another
we
thing.
were workshopping earlier, but turns out it's illegal.
Yeah. It's actually, we have a big whiteboard with that one crossed off.
Like, how is it illegal? They all have to be minors. We're just helping minors connect with other minors.
So Chris Bryant, dude, so big talks now about how Chris Bryant is apparently going to be traded to the Mets. Probably by the time this comes out, it's going to happen, then it's not going to happen. And Chris Bryant has been kind of injury plagued the last few years. As you probably know, he was an MVP in 2016. He has a 280 career batting average, which is not bad, but he just hasn't looked very good for the last 2 years. Last 3 years, actually. Just hasn't looked like himself.
Might be set up for a JJ Watt rejuvenation type deal.
I was going to say, this could be a great thing for the Mets here if he goes over there and does great. Because I thought he was going to go to the Dodgers originally. Dodgers just re-signed Justin Turner for a lot more than I thought they were going to.
Yeah, that's for not what you will do, what you have done kind of money.
Absolutely. That's a respect contract. But my theory on the whole thing with the Cubs is that the Cubs need to stop being nostalgic and break up that 2016 team.
Yeah, dude. They're doing an opposite Tampa Bay.
Literally, they're doing an opposite thing where they're not bringing in anyone. They're not really sending anyone out. I mean, they sent John Lester out, but other than that, it's like they're really keeping that infield especially together. Where Javi Baez is about to run out of his contract, and Anthony Rizzo is pretty close to it. There were big talks that Anthony Rizzo might be traded also. So who knows, man?
I mean, that team is ripe for the picking. Like, to just put sprinkled veterans on ready to win teams.
Absolutely. Because there was big talk of Anthony Rizzo. Me and you talked about this, of Anthony Rizzo going to Toronto. And that's perfect because Toronto is so young that they need some kind of guidance, probably. The only guidance Toronto has is players' dads.
Yeah, well, but I mean, their dads are like, you know, they're
their dads are incredible. Craig Biggio and Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Dante Bichette are incredible ball players. But it's just in the locker room. What are you going to have? Bring your dads?
Yeah. If those are your dads, bring them in.
Bring in the dads. Let's do it. All right. You got anything else? Or I want me to launch into this piece I got here?
Launch into the piece. All
right. So this is I did a good amount of research today. I even made a phone call to an author who wrote a book on Babe Ruth. He didn't answer. I really went hard today. So this is what brings me to this is, a few months ago, I believe it was right after Cohen bought the Mets, Robinson Cano tested positive for PEDs, again, performance-enhancing drugs. Commissioner's office said Cano tested positive for I don't know why I wrote this down, stanozolol, an anabolic steroid, just a straight-up steroids. He's out for the whole season. He's suspended an entire year. He's the second suspension.
That's the third suspension of his, isn't it?
I think it's second. I'm pretty positive it's second.
God, you know,
am I wrong?
Get put under a microscope when you fail one. Like,
yeah, no, 100%. Which is kind of, I mean, I have. Sorry, I'm just trying to see if Robinson Cano. So Robinson Cano, my question here is. Basically, I mean, he was also suspended in a May 2018 for 80 games where he tested positive for formosidine. I can't read. A diuretic where some athletes have used that to mask other substances. So that wasn't even for PEDs. That was for a thing that they say he was taking to mask PEDs, which other people have done before.
Right.
So my question on this first part was Robinson Cano's Hall of Fame chances already smited by that first suspension, or does this one right here seal the deal? Robinson Cano is a great player. I mean, he's on pace to, probably not now with this season, he was on pace to have 3,000 hits. And I just had it right here where he had a real shot at 1,500 runs and 1,500 RBIs. Only 38 players in MLB history have gotten there. It's all Hall of Famers.
Right. Well, he could have, with the diuretic, he could have made the case, hey, like, because the diuretic also helps you pass a regular drug test, which is fine.
Yeah.
If he's doing, you know, the Major League Hall of Fame, pretty much all of them were doing speed and all whatever drugs from the 70s, 80s back in the day. So he could have made the excuse like, No, that wasn't covered up. Steroids, that was covered. I'm in rehab now. I had a problem with, cocaine or marijuana or whatever.
Yeah. When I worked in minor league ball, 2 guys got suspended for Adderall
right
on the team.
Right.
Which is that's technically a performance enhancing drug, right?
Yeah. No, players always get you got to get a prescription. You've got to, because it's not hard.
That could probably be considered a performance enhancing drug. I mean, Zach Greinke's probably on a shitload of it.
No, but I mean, a lot of NFL players have legit. They get like diagnosed with ADD or whatever. They have legit doctors write them a script for Adderall. Then it's no problem.
Like to fucking meet those guys, those doctors. Like Mike Schmidt. Mike Schmidt is considered the best third baseman of all time, and he admitted to using amphetamines, and he's still in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, in the 70s, they all used. I mean, he played in the 70s, the 80s. They all used amphetamines. I mean, you ever seen that Doc? What's his name? The guy, Doc Ellis.
LSD.
Yeah, the one where the documentary in that he was just talking about how they all had greens and reds and blacks, like black beauties and goofballs and shit. Like it was just like right there in the bowl.
See, that's the kind of shit that I want to take is pills where we're like, we got black booties, we got green balls, we got like, it basically sounds like the fireworks stand in Joe Dirt pretty much. But dude, Robinson Cano is a great player. Robinson Cano has 2,600 career hits, 303 career average. He hit 316 last year in 2020. I think this is the PEDs he's using them, I think, from a longevity standpoint. Do you know what I'm saying?
He's trying to stay in the league. He's trying to stay relevant. Yeah. 100%.
So this is kind of brings me into these other guys. Whereas Robinson Cano falling into this part right here, these other guys who aren't in the Hall of Fame because of steroids. And I disagree. I think these guys should be in. Rafael Palmeiro failed a test in 2005 that he claims was a vitamin B12 shot that him and Miguel Tejada both tested positive for steroids after.
Well, I would imagine that they were both on steroids. Rafael Palmeiro in 2005 was probably like 40.
Yeah. I mean, Rafael Palmeiro played for a long time, but Rafael Palmeiro is beyond a Hall of Famer. He came and went off of the ballot, but dude, he hit 569 home runs, 3,020 hits, one of 4 players with 500 home runs and 3,000 hits.
Really? I didn't know that, because I always filed him in my brain as like an Andre Dawson type, where it's like you just stuck around. That's what makes you have numbers. But
see, I read some things about that today where I didn't. What was the phrase they used? I don't know if they called him more of a complier than a superstar. I think was what they said. Mm-hmm. Where he was just around, he was consistent, he was always there, he was always rocking, which might be a steroids thing if he's able to play for 25 years or however long he played. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'll tell you this. You don't use steroids for 25 years and stay good. Like your body breaks down after a while from steroid use.
Well, I mean, that's
like you saw how Jose
that's kind of
got knocked out.
Yeah, well, that's the Barry Bonds argument, and that's some of these other guys' argument where people like Barry Bonds, who stayed in the league forever, it's saying that that's what the steroids were helping them with, was the longevity of their career plus the 162 game grind every year was just staying fresh all year because of the steroids.
Right. But I wonder though, because like we've said a million times before, Barry Bonds is pre-steroid. I mean, it's obvious when Barry Bonds started steroids because he lifted with them. So he just got fucking massive. But like his pre-steroid,
his head grew like 3 hat sizes or something. I love it.
Yeah.
His feet grew. Dude, he legitimately, Barry Bonds would inject himself with steroids and then he would be like, go now, save yourself. And he would just be like, oh, like, dude, you ever seen, I wish I could pull up a picture. I'll send it to you to throw in the pod right here. Dude, this picture of Barry Bonds in like athletic shorts, like biker shorts and an Under Armour top in San Francisco. It is unreal. So, dude, that picture of Bonds, I had to switch out my headphones. I don't know what the hell happened. The picture of Bonds, just a true human specimen, just a massive individual. Yeah. It's insane to look at, where it's like, maybe that helps you hit home runs. I'm in the camp of steroids can't make you a better baseball player. They can make you fresher for longer, and they can make you hit the baseball farther, but you have to make that initial contact no matter what.
Right. It has to make you, I mean, Barry Bonds, his numbers are so fucking different from when he was taking steroids to when he wasn't, that it clearly made him better. It clearly made him better.
You know what? Yeah, I think
Sosa with no steroids, he did nothing.
Yeah.
He was terrible.
But I think in baseball, especially, what steroids do is give you the longevity. I keep saying that word over a season
but look at Ryan Braun, look at Sammy Sosa. I mean, these players, they stopped taking roids and they aren't what they used to be. Not even close.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I forgot that Ryan Braun tested positive.
Yeah. The 90s was just marred with that. Like Evander Holyfield should have never been a heavyweight. Roy Jones Jr. should have never been a heavyweight. Like there was a lot going on in the 90s of the steroids that I think it does absolutely improve you, whether or not, because that strength matters. Because now imagine you make partial contact. You don't make the kind of contact that would actually make a home run. Now you're adding so much more juice to that partial contact.
Yeah, I mean, that video of Barry Bonds hitting a home run while breaking his bat is kind of telling. Maybe you're right. But, I mean, this baseball Hall of Fame stuff is just going to roll and roll and roll and roll. Alex Rodriguez is up next. Alex Rodriguez never failed a test, but he admitted to using steroids from 2001 to 2003. But Alex Rodriguez had some injuries. Alex Rodriguez has 696 home runs. He's fourth all time.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if everybody's doing it, and you're the best of everybody doing it, you're still just the best in that talent pool. You're still
absolutely. Mark McGwire never failed a test. He finally admitted it in 2005 or 2007.
Well, he did have androstenedione in his locker during an interview.
Yeah. No, you were thinking of adrenochrome. He had adrenochrome in his locker.
Oh, yeah.
Children's blood.
It was a baby bottle filled with blood.
You ever see Mark McGwire in front of Congress where they're like, did you ever use steroids and whatever? And he says, I'm not here to talk about the past.
Yes.
It's like he's fighting with his ex-girlfriend or something, basically.
Yeah. It's like there's no deposition in Congress where they're talking about the future. You know what I mean? Like it's an investigation.
Yeah. Here's the big kicker. Why David Ortiz? He failed a test in 2003.
He was never suspended.
Never suspended because it didn't come out later. Apparently,
he didn't fail a test. He was on
a test.
He was on a list.
A list of people who failed a test. But so many players failed a test, I'm pretty positive what it is, in 2003 that they didn't make a big stink about it. He failed a test.
I remember that very well, and I remember it being very suspect.
He failed a test. In 2009, an article came out that said he was on a list of players who failed a PED test in 2003.
So a man gets shot in the back and you decide to shit on him like that?
A lot of people have gotten shot in the back.
Including you in about 2 hours.
If I keep talking like this?
Yes.
But why is David Ortiz going to get that same Hall of Fame treatment as the rest of these guys?
David Ortiz, allegedly, he failed a test in 2003. Okay, sure. His career started around 1997, 1998. Post 2003, he continued to be, he's the best DH in the history of DH. To whatever whatever can suck my dick.
I'm an Edgar Martinez believer. Edgar Martinez, multiple pitchers and multiple people say that Edgar Martinez is the best hitter they've ever faced.
Yeah, sure. I wonder how much he paid him to say that. I mean, David Ortiz, listen, he brought an entire.
You're such a homer. It's so funny. You will go down with any ship. David Ortiz could have been the one to shoot that other guy in the back, and you would have been like, listen.
Well, that guy was a drug dealer. If he shot a drug dealer in the back, he's a hero.
Yeah, well, that guy, that guy who shot him got paid $7,800 to do it, dude.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, that's such a little amount of money to shoot a high-profile guy.
Yeah, I know.
That's not even my debt.
Do you know how him on the Red Sox came to be?
No, he came from the Twins. I remember that.
He was injured in 2002 and released by the Twins. Ran into Pedro Martinez a couple days after he got released and told him that he got released. Yeah. Pedro Martinez literally was like, holy shit. Okay. Fuck yeah. Called up the Red Sox, was like, this is who you need to sign. They signed him 2 days later.
Yeah. Two Dominican buddies. They played Dominican ball together. Yeah.
Nepotism, dude.
Also, you know, there was a terrorist attack, you may remember. and David Ortiz brought that city back together. And you're sitting here and you're trying to talk about how maybe he potentially took some Adderall or whatever you're accusing him.
No, bitch, it was steroids.
He's
I love David Ortiz. I have nothing against David Ortiz.
I just think watch with him. Everybody says he worked the hardest. He was the first one in the building, last one to leave.
I'm not saying any of that is untrue. I'm just saying
Kurt Schilling or Manny Ramirez. I'll take that. I understand. Manny Ramirez, I'm pretty sure roided up. David Ortiz, that was a hit piece by the New York media. They don't
the failing New York Times.
The failing New York Times, the New York Post, they were jealous. The curse was broken. It was no longer about the Yankees. It was about the Red Sox. And so, yeah, they want to put shit on the name of the greatest Red Sox maybe in history.
So I'm not saying any of that is untrue. I'm just saying that David Ortiz should get the same treatment as these other guys. It needs to be across the board, or it needs to not be across the board.
No, those stories are very different.
They're not. You failed a test. Alex Rodriguez never failed a test. Mark McGwire never failed a test. Barry Bonds never failed a test.
But
Sammy Sosa never failed a test.
Sammy Sosa, his corked bat exploded.
That's we're talking steroids. Corked bat is another story.
Yeah, and also, listen. I'm telling you, A-Rod admitted to using it for 2 years. These guys, their bodies changes, their stats go through the roof. Like none of this happened with David Ortiz. He was really
stayed
good.
Fat.
Huh?
He stayed fat.
He stayed fat through his whole career. Do you understand? Like that.
You know that he's a big Packers fan.
David Ortiz,
huge Packers fan. His wife's from Wisconsin. They have season tickets.
Yeah, there's no way he took steroids. There's no possible way. Steroids. He's too good of a guy.
You're blinded. You're blinded by your fucking love of this team.
You have no idea what that 2003 team means to me. There's no way there was anything false going on there. I mean,
all right. So this whole thing is about asterisks in my mind. If they need to be in, and whether or not people want to give them an asterisk, I can't quite say that.
Asterisks.
Asterisks. Axe a question. The asterisks. I did a lot of research today. This is a controversial statement, but I think that Babe Ruth deserves an asterisk as much as these other guys do.
Asterisks.
Asterisks. I don't care anymore about what a little star next to his name. Babe Ruth played 3 years at Polo Grounds. 258 feet in right field.
But everybody else who was on that team didn't have the numbers he had.
I'm not saying he wasn't great, and I think that I went as deep.
But before you get into that, those 3 years that he was playing at Polo Ground, because that was before Yankee Stadium was built, so he was still pitching. He was pitching Cy Young.
He wasn't pitching on the Yankees.
He never pitched for the Yankees?
I don't believe he did. I could be wrong, but I don't think he was pitching. He pitched
because he was a lights out pitcher.
Yeah, but he was a better hitter, and that was before they had two-way things. So 3 years at Polo Grounds, 258 feet in right field. I can hit a softball left-handed 258 feet. No problem. That's nothing.
Okay.
I hit 148 home runs in that time. When the Yankees moved to the new Yankee Stadium in 1923, the right field was 295 feet, still under 300 feet. Babe Ruth hit 60 home runs in 1927 at that 295-foot field. 38 of the 60 home runs were to right field. And I'm not saying some of them weren't bombs, but there were definitely some squeakers. I went as far today to look at Babe Ruth's spray charts today. Do you know what a spray chart is?
Yeah, of course I know what a spray chart.
Okay. So 60 home runs in 1927, and 38 of them are to right field. There's some bombs. In 1926, this is just a little bit of just kind of a make you understand. 1926, there's 16 MLB stadiums. Of those, 3 had an area, a left field or a right field, under 300 feet. The Baker Bowl in Philadelphia, League Park in Cleveland, and Yankee Stadium. Baker Bowl in Philly had a 60-foot right fence, 60-foot tall right fence.
So short field, but high fence.
Yeah, it was like 290, but it had that tall fence. League Field had a raised fence. I couldn't quite get an estimate on what it was. And Yankee Stadium did not. Just a classic regular fence with easy to smack it over.
No green monster.
No green monster. No nothing.
Okay. So I understand. And David Ortiz was playing in full-size fields.
David Ortiz is playing in full-size fields, but he's not hitting however many home runs. He's hitting a good amount of home runs. Maybe I think top was like 52. But I mean, you could even argue that Red Sox right field is a very short little porch, very short fence, very short little corner right there.
100% it is.
So this is where I gets into a differing opinion that I read today. Bill Jenkinson, who was an author, believes that Ruth, he has all this documented in a book called The Year Babe Ruth hit 104 home runs. He believes Babe Ruth in his career hits 16 plus home runs between 550 and 615 feet. Wow. And he has it as documented. And the book states, the title refers to 104 home runs in a year. Jenkinson's conclusion that in modern ballparks under modern rules, Babe Ruth would have hit 104 home runs in 1921, 90 in other seasons, and over 60 many times. Author's research concludes that Ruth would have hit well over 1,000 home runs in his career. He also states Babe Ruth probably hit way more than 715 because of the amount of exhibition games he played. They played a lot of exhibition games in like Wyoming and just random places. Like he was a low-level WWF wrestler.
Right. Yeah, house shows.
Yeah. So I tried to get this guy on the horn today. I couldn't find his contact, Bill Jenkinson. I emailed him. I emailed him, wrote him a message on Facebook, and I called the Babe Ruth Hall of Fame.
Yeah, this is like one of those when you talk about finances and people adjust for inflation, where they're like, he had $400 in 1912, which would have been $2 million now. And it's like, yeah, Babe Ruth also wouldn't have had to face Pedro Martinez.
I was going to say, I respect this guy because he's a baseball historian, and I respect that. But I think he's full of shit because there's no way he's not facing. I mean, he's facing only white dudes.
Exactly.
He's not facing Pedro Martinez, who's throwing a 97-mile-an-hour splitter. You know what I'm saying? He's not facing Mariano Rivera. He's not facing even other white dudes, Randy Johnson, who's 7 feet tall, throwing a 94-mile-an-hour slider. Like, what are you talking about? He's facing a dude who's throwing a fork ball.
There's no world where Babe Ruth, as fat and drunk as he is, he succeeds in modern athletics.
Yeah, Babe Ruth was out for like 6 months with VD. Did you know that? There's a story where a kid asked him what's wrong with him, and he said he had too many hot dogs and too much soda. So I think that Babe Ruth was given a lot of padding by those field dimensions.
Absolutely. No.
And so I think his home runs are inflated because I'm not saying I don't think he hit a lot of bombs, like over 600 feet. I totally believe that. I've seen somebody hit a ball over 500 feet and it was magical, but I in my brain couldn't fathom somebody hitting at 600 in person. I imagine it's happened many times, but seeing somebody hit a ball like 520 that'll make your asshole pucker, dude. It's unreal. And
yeah, I've seen a few in the deepest home run I've ever seen, I think, was at AT&T Giants game. And I believe it was somebody on the Rockies.
Larry Walker.
It might have been Larry Walker.
Dude, you know Larry Walker hit like 387 one season.
Yeah, he's
the Rockies were a sick blue collar team for a minute.
Yeah, no, Babe Ruth is just a old. He's like he's like Johnny Appleseed. He's like irrelevant for modern times. It's that like he would not have been shit nowadays.
Yeah.
And he's facing pitchers who were more interested in doing karate kicks than actually throwing the ball. Like that old form that they had where they were like, they were showing you their balls before they threw
where they would turn around and they would have that fruit basket where they have their balls tucked between their leg. It was all about distraction back in those days. That's what people don't realize.
They're doing Carnegie Hall showgirl splits as they're throwing.
Yeah. Dude, Polo Grounds, it was very small in right field, left field. Center field was like 495 or something. I got to send you this website. I can't think of what it is off the top of my head where I got a lot of this info, but there's some real baseball nerds on this website with these stadium breakdowns. But it's showing all these different stadium layouts for Polo Grounds. Polo Grounds was so big that they did auto racing there.
Yeah. They did everything. I mean, it was a catch-all. They did football there. Yeah, everything.
Classic stadium. Yeah.
I use that website for the boxing, Box Rec. That's where you can find really detailed statistics about like pro fights in the 30s that were not anybody. Like my grandfather's on there, like his record's on there.
Is he really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And there's just a bunch of dudes arguing where they're like, no, actually he did this.
Yeah.
Like,
That fight was not in Portland and it was not in April. It was at
yeah. There's that. I signed up for this site of like baseball something today where it's just all these dudes arguing about old shit like that. But I was getting into that today, and I really think that Babe Ruth stuff is pretty interesting.
So it's basically what your point here is you're trying to say that Barry Bonds had it even with steroids, did more against his competition than Babe Ruth did with the level of competition Babe Ruth.
100%, 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
The reason what he ties in, Jenkinson ties into that number that he comes up with is all the different stuff. It was just like the modern thing, but like travel conditions back then, how exhausted the players must have been because of how shitty the travel was, just all of that different stuff.
Right.
That guy, he's a very smart guy, and I'm not besmirching him, and I would love to have him come on and talk about it, but I disagree. Where I imagine he could lay out his case in front of me and change my mind. But at this moment in time, I disagree with him.
Yeah. That's why you got to look at, I mean, all those players were garbage back then because the game just hadn't evolved yet. And they still had day jobs. You know what I mean? They were working at a factory and then they would go down to Yankee Stadium and play, 2 double headers. And then they would go fight a war. They would come back.
I mean, Rube Waddell is out there striking everybody out and then eating candy and chasing fire trucks around the stadium. What? This is the last thing I have is that I think that Alex Rodriguez and Ken Griffey Jr. would have broken Barry Bonds' home run mark if it wasn't for injury. Ken Griffey Jr. especially. Ken Griffey Jr. finished with 630. Ken Griffey Jr. is the biggest star of that generation that never had any ties to steroids. And
my favorite player as a kid.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Ken Griffey Jr. I did math on it today. Ken Griffey Jr. missed 3 full seasons overall because of injury.
Where I went to Cincinnati, it was over.
Yes. Yeah. He there's a clip you can watch that's kind of like the defining moment of that injury stuff where he had one injury season in Seattle, but just all the games he missed where I was kind of averaging it out. Let's say he plays 140 games a year. And just all the games he missed added up to 3 full 162 game seasons.
Jesus Christ. I love those two-way players, those dudes who can field as well as they can hit. Like he was the best center fielder. He had a cannon for an arm. He was catching home runs. He was hitting home runs. He was chewing bubble gum, backwards hat, most fucking buttery, smooth swing. Maybe the best swing in the history of baseball.
Yeah. I mean, one of the best swings. Rafael Palmeiro's swing is way up there, dude. Underrated swing. Ken Griffey Jr. probably the best overall player, I would say, of all time.
Who's got the best swing in baseball right now?
Right now?
Yeah. Tatis?
No. Probably Christian Yelich.
Oh yeah.
Just, I mean, from a mechanics standpoint, I watched a breakdown of him and his swing plane he goes straight down and straight through. Where I was watching this breakdown of him of just how long his bat stays in the zone is just unbelievable.
What's up with he's a guy that in the 90s would have brought up steroid accusations because he just at 28, 29, he became the best.
Well, dude, how many people has that happened to? That's happened to a lot of people.
Really?
That's happened. Jose Bautista. I'll send you a video breaking down his change. He never got any steroid accusations, but he was not good. Mm-hmm. Baseball is a sport where you can catch on, dude. You can really, really, really catch on. There's a lot of people who have. And I mean, Max Muncy was out of the game. Mm-hmm. He was literally chopping wood with his brother when the Dodgers called him. His brother owns a landscaping company. Yeah. They were cutting down a tree, legitimately cutting down a tree. 2-3 years later, he's hitting home runs in the World Series.
That's a story we all love too. Like the Kurt Warner, he was working in a grocery store.
Oh yeah. Kurt Warner
called up to the Rams.
Yeah, dude. There's a lot of that, especially Donald Driver, in baseball.
The receiver for the Packers he was in high school. He was living in a U-Haul truck.
Damn.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. Dude, there's a lot of baseball, especially. There's a lot of that. A lot of people that just just figure it out later in their thing.
So in conclusion, Babe Ruth is a Hall of Famer. David Ortiz is the best DH in the history of baseball. Lay off Tom Brady.
I'm an Edgar Martinez guy, dude.
Huh?
I said I'm an Edgar Martinez guy through and through.
Yeah, but he didn't break any curses. He never even won a World Series.
Best DH has ever been.
Dude, David Ortiz did it in the World Series with ghosts against him. There was literally ghosts.
he was haunted.
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. If you do believe in the supernatural, then David Ortiz is the best player of all time.
Yes, him and
because he was possessed by the devil. Well, Hank Aaron had real life shit against him. Hank Aaron had the KKK against him.
Right, but is that as scary as Babe Ruth's ghost, though? Let's be real.
No way, dude. I mean, if I saw Babe Ruth's ghost is going to be fucking a lot. So that's a scary sight. It's scary to see someone as fat as Babe Ruth having
fucking sores and
wounds
and
mustard. Just mustard on his fucking shirt.
He's pissing fucking eclair filling because he's just so diseased.
Yeah. He's got to do that thing where they go bam on the two sides of your dick and it. Oh yeah.
The clap.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is, right? They clap they clap your dick together.
Yeah.
We should try that. Why don't you try it right now? All right. Anything else? You got anything else to say? In conclusion, everybody deserves to be in the Hall of Fame that I mentioned with an asterisk at the very most. And Pete Rose put Pete Rose in before.
Is Jeff Bagwell in the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Because I thought he had a roid thing too, didn't he?
I don't believe he did. Man, I just am starting to realize that NL West blue collar teams like the Rockies and the Astros with Jeff Bagwell, Craig Biggio, I think Ryan Klesko or Phil Nevin was down there for a while. Just a fucking sick.
Klesko's a Brave to me.
He was a Brave and a Padre. I know him as a Padre.
I hated that Braves 90s team, the Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux.
How could you? They're unbelievable.
I don't know. They were always on TV, and it was like, can I see another team?
Yeah, dude, Ted Turner hooked it up.
Yeah, everybody became a Braves fan.
Yeah. Well, the Braves, Cubs, and Yankees were all over the place.
I was on Nesson watching the mid-90s Red Sox. 95, 96, they were pretty good. They had a really good series against that.
Hey, before we do wrap up, is Nomar Garciaparra a Hall of Famer?
No.
Interesting. Because he hit like 390 one year.
He had like 4 or 5 good years, got paid, but never really. He made 1 All-Star game with the Dodgers. He made like 2 or 3 with the Red Sox.
Yeah. Because I went back and looked at his stats and I was like, he was just okay. There's a lot of guys, maybe for you too, that in the moment were larger than life, but you go back and look at their stats and they're all just okay.
Yeah. He's definitely one of them. Another one is Derek Lowe. Just okay. Had some big moments, but in my mind, he's like an insane pitcher because he was so good in the playoffs one year. Not really that good.
Same
2 years. He won one with the Marlins too.
Same with Madison Bumgarner. He's probably not a Hall of Famer, and he was lights out that World Series could not be hit.
Two World Series. He was there. I believe he might have been there for all 3.
I think he was there for both, but maybe even all 3. But the one I'm talking about where he won 3 games in a World Series. Yeah. He got 3 wins.
Who did they? The Chiefs? I mean the Royals.
The Washington football team. All right, dude. Let's wrap it up. Great ep. Everyone, keep doing what you're doing. Respect the show. Quit downvoting the video. Go on YouTube. Watch the clips. We're clipping stuff out. Go on there. Watch the clips. Subscribe. Like. DM Brian pictures of your flaccid penis. And we'll catch you on the flip side, brothers and sisters and everything in between.
Adios. Vaya con Dios.